Good morning, bonjour,
Good morning. Buenos dias. Bon dia. Good morning. Bonjour.
quorum. Today I have the honor to declare open this special meeting of the Permanent Council convened to mark the assumption of office by the Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Her Excellency Ambassador Laura Gil, and whose order of business contained in document CP/OD-2557/25 we consider approved. Distingués représentants,
Distinguished permanent and alternate representatives of the member states of the Organization of American States. Secretary General, His Excellency Albert Ramdin. Assistant Secretary General, Her Excellency Ambassador Laura Gil. Distinguished permanent observers, authorities and representatives of bodies of the Inter-American System and other international organizations, family members and close associates of the Assistant Secretary General, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Permanent Council of the Organization of American States, it is an honor for me to officially welcome the Assistant Secretary General Laura Gil in what will be her home for the years to come. The next 5 years, the House of the Americas, La Maison des Amériques. This is an historic milestone for the OAS. For the very first time around, a woman takes on this position of high responsibility, which was hitherto unknown in the organization. This testifies not only to her exceptional qualities, but also the growing recognition that leadership should reflect the diversity, the strength, and aspirations of all. Today is an historic moment and demonstrates the progress we have made and reminds us of the work that remains to be done. This appointment and election of Ambassador Gil is more than symbolic. It is an important step towards a more inclusive and representative OAS. That is who we are. The Assistant Secretary General Laura Gil will work alongside Secretary General Ramdin to strengthen the fundamental pillars of the OAS: democracy, human rights, multi-dimensional security, and integral development. Through results-oriented management, accountability, and institutional strengthening. That is what will highlight your leadership. Ambassador Gil brings to this position more than 30 years of experience in diplomacy, multilateral engagement, and the defense of fundamental freedoms. Her career has been marked by an unwavering commitment to dialogue, the search for consensus, and the principles enshrined in the OAS Charter and international law. She has occupied the August positions of Deputy Minister for Multilateral Affairs, Ambassador of Colombia to Austria, and Permanent Representative to the United Nations in Vienna. She has also been an observer and electoral advisor in more than a dozen short and long-term OAS missions across the Americas. In addition to her distinguished diplomatic services, Ambassador Gil brings to this position a remarkable academic and professional background, confirming her ability to lead. Political scientist and internationalist by training, she graduated from St. John's College and the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy and was a member of Stanford University and the National Endowment for Democracy. Ambassador Gil has shaped minds and policies as a professor of international relations in leading institutions in Colombia and Canada, and as a consultant and advisor to national and international organizations. Her work covers the academic, media, and civil society arenas, and she has been honored with numerous awards for her contributions to journalism, democracy, and public service. This vast experience reflects not only her intellectual depth, her ability to work within diversified networks, but also her unwavering commitment to democratic values, transparency, and multilateral cooperation. All of that prepared her to face the complex landscape of our continent. These are not ordinary times. The OAS, our American continent, and in point of fact, the rest of the world, face profound and interdependent challenges, such as the erosion of democratic norms, the rise of misinformation and hate speech, the devastating effects of climate change, the persistence of poverty and inequality, and the threats posed by transnational organized crime. We are also witnessing a worrying drift towards unilateralism and a weakening of the rules-based international order. In English.
Ambassador Gil's leadership is both timely and necessary. Her deep understanding of regional dynamics, her inclusive vision, and her unwavering belief in multilateralism equip her to help steer our organization through this critical juncture. She assumes this role not to carry the burden alone, but to work in true partnership with the Secretary General and all member states. Together, we must strengthen the strategic pillars of the OAS through transparent governance, institutional renewal, and a deeper and more action-oriented commitment to our shared values. We are confident that she will be a unifying force by opening new channels of communication, amplifying the voices of the most vulnerable, and ensuring that the OAS remains responsive, legitimate, and effective in the face of today's challenges. Canada is proud to serve as the first chair of the Permanent Council to work in collaboration with the new Assistant Secretary General. Along her side and the side of her team, we will advance important priorities, including the Inter-American Week of Indigenous Peoples, which will take place the week of August 11th. In closing, let us seize this moment to celebrate a historic first and to commit ourselves to building a stronger, more inclusive, and more resilient inter-American system. It will be up to the member states to support this effort in what should constitute a true partnership with our new and groundbreaking leadership team of the Secretary General and Assistant Secretary General. Ambassador Gil, on behalf of the Permanent Council, I would like to formally welcome you and assure you of the Permanent Council's firm support as you undertake your new role. I now have the distinct honor to kindly invite all present to rise. Please rise as we commence the inauguration of the Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States before this special Permanent Council. Ambassador Gil, the General Assembly at its 57th special session held in this very hall on May 5th last, acting in accordance with Article 108 of the Charter of the Organization of American States, elected you Assistant Secretary General for a 5-year term. By accepting this position, you undertake a solemn commitment to the people of the Americas. In my capacity as chair of the Permanent Council, and on behalf of the member states that comprise it, I hereby have the honor to formally declare her Her Excellency Ambassador Laura Gil, installed in the office of Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States for the 2025-2030 term. Je vous prie de bien.
I would like to kindly ask you to take your seats. Madam Assistant Secretary General, I extend my most sincere congratulations on the occasion of your entry into office. We wish you every success in the fulfillment of your mandate.
J'ai maintenant l'honneur
I now have the honor to invite the Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Her Excellency Ambassador Laura Gil, to deliver her inaugural speech. Madam Assistant Secretary General, you have the floor.
Good morning, bonjour, bon dia. Señor Presidente,
Distinguished Chairman of the Permanent Council, distinguished permanent and alternate representatives of the member states, distinguished Secretary General, distinguished representatives of the delegations of observer states, colleagues from the General Secretariat here in Washington and in our offices in the member states, colleagues in the Inter-American system, friends, brothers and sisters from my whole life who have traveled from Colombia to be with me today, Jose, Juan Manuel, and Juan Sebastian. I assumed the office of Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States with hope, aware that I represent a milestone as the first woman to hold this position. Gender equity is a goal of the OAS for itself and for all of the Americas. And today, and right here, the organization is showing its institutional consistency on contributing to aspirations with deeds. My presence will go beyond symbolism. I wish to turn it into a true transformation of the organization's culture. When a woman reaches circles of power, her participation in the conversation changes the questions that are asked, has an impact on priorities, and contributes to identifying differentiated solutions. I bring with me the voices, the demands, the visions of our underrepresented women of the Americas. And I hope that this moment will inspire more women and more girls in all their diversity to believe in their own ability to lead, transform, and serve. We need many deeds such as this to show that the words spoken in this hall are not empty and do change realities. This what we are experiencing today is not the first crisis of multilateralism. Democracy is the worst form of government except for all other forms of government that have been tried from time to time, Winston Churchill once said. And we can extend this statement to multilateralism. What better way than multilateralism exists to tackle collective challenges? This is why the OAS, with all of its accomplishments, strengths, and failings, will never cease to be relevant. The enjoyment of human rights, threats to democracy, migratory flows, and protection of the environment continue to be central in the lives of our fellow citizens and are addressing them at the table of diplomacy is becoming ever more complex. These and other challenges are interconnected and reflect structural tensions that require multilateral, sustained, and daring responses. We cannot act like ostriches, simply burying our heads in the sand. The organization needs valor. Valor to listen to the other. Valor to recognize our own limitations. And valor, boldness to build points of consensus amidst our differences. No one wants an organization where there's a lot of talk, very few are listened to, and even less is attained. The OAS should continue to be a forum for dialogue, including and in particular when the conversations are tough. That is when our capacity for dialogue is put to the test. It's when we must most reaffirm our commitment to the principles of our charter, inter-American solidarity and good neighborliness. From my office, as Assistant Secretary General, I will be ready to facilitate conversations, providing guarantees to each and every one of the member states. I reiterate to the Secretary General, Albert Ramdin, my firm commitment to work in close collaboration, forming the solid team that the member states have entrusted to us to build when electing us. I will fully back the 4 strategic lines that the Secretary General has spelled out for this new stage of the organization. Strengthening the internal structure, a more dynamic communication strategy closer to the peoples of the Americas, a policy of foreign relations or external relations that expands alliances and resources, and a focus on taking action in the face of the political challenges of the region to which the OAS can help, resolve. I thank the member states for the trust that you have deposited in me. I thank the Secretary General for the courtesy and kindness with which he is receiving me, and more than anything else, I thank my government for the honor that has been given to me to serve Colombia as Vice Minister and Ambassador, and even more so, the opportunity and support to be able to make it to this place. And even so, from this day, I endorse and as my own the theory of French jurist Robert Badinter when he stated that every judge has a duty of not bending to the power that appointed him. Henceforth, I owe to each and every one of the member states My loyalties are only with this organization, this Secretary General, in the framework of the values that I have defended throughout my professional life: democracy and human rights. The independence that will govern my actions and my work here will be framed in the foundational documents of the organization: its charter, the body of Inter-American human rights law, and the Inter-American Democratic Charter. My efforts shall be guided by the principles of austerity, transparency, and accountability. I come into this organization amidst a transformation. The current reform process may have an impact on the responsibilities assigned to the Assistant Secretary General, and I will be attentive and available to take on the tasks that you, the member states, and the Secretary General decide upon. I will listen, I will accompany, and I will implement in keeping with the mandates that are given to me. I will be available to act with agility and firmly when the Secretary General so requests of my office in the face of situations that require urgent attention, ensuring that the OAS will continue to be a reliable and committed actor. The Office of the Secretariat of the General Assembly, of the Meeting of Consultation of Ministers of Foreign Affairs, of the Permanent Council and its subsidiary bodies, is the heart of the political, technical, and administrative work of the Office of the Assistant Secretary General. And my vision is clear: continue strengthening its already robust role as guarantor of the deliberative processes, and especially modernize its operations. Preserving and strengthening the institutional memory of the organization guarantees transparency, continuity, and the consistency of its decisions over time. The institutional memory should be up-to-date, updated, and accessible. It is the living record of our debates, agreements, and commitments. We should address the current lag, but I will give first top priority to timely publication of current and future minutes for their review and approval. The Department of Conferences and Meetings makes possible everything we do, and I take this opportunity to highlight its work under Assistant Secretary General Nestor Mendez in carrying out the 55th regular session of the General Assembly, which was held in St. John's, Antigua, last month. And I value the voluntary work of members of the staff of other OAS secretariats and of more than 100 youths who joined them. I congratulate the government of Antigua and Barbuda, and in particular its permanent representative, Sir Ronald Sanders. As you know, since the General Assembly of the OAS was held in Barbados 23 years ago, no, there had not been another General Assembly of the OAS held in the Caribbean. More than 850 persons attended the sessions, including the delegations of the member states, observer countries, different agencies, and civil society. I come from civil society. I understand its dynamics. I know it is by no means a homogeneous entity. I respect the different players in civil society. I recognize the right of all to have a space, a forum. I have experienced rejection as a non-governmental actor, and that is why I defend the presence of civil society in more and more international scenarios. I insist today, and I shall do so always, there's nothing to fear from civil society. Quite to the contrary. We must sit down and think together, and accordingly, consistent with my conviction and my experience, I will strengthen the dialogue in the context of the meetings that I will be honored to chair during the General Assemblies, and I will take on my relationship with civil society in a fluid, permanent, open, and committed manner. I hope that as a result that there will be collaboration, ideas, good faith, and great eagerness to move forward. Now, with the lessons left to us by the time here by the service of Assistant Secretary General Nestor Mendez, we will begin preparations together with the government of the Republic of Panama for the next General Assembly, which will take place in the context of the 200th anniversary of the Anfitrionic Congress of Panama. This was a milestone in the history of inter-American cooperation and precursor of the principles that govern the OAS. I'm ready to work with the government of the Dominican Republic and the General Secretariat in organizing the 10th Summit of the Americas next December. It will address issues such as human security in its various dimensions, including citizen security, food security, energy security, and water security. In the context of the guidelines presented by the Secretary General, we will seek to ensure that the institutional presence of the OAS at the national level generates greater impact, greater trust, greater visibility, and a closer relationship with the citizenry.
To strengthen the strategic and multifaceted role of the OAS national offices, reviewing their programs case by case, taking into account, most of all, the interests of the host country and seeking additional targeting funding for each.
It is fundamental that we jointly review the objectives, agreements, and ways of implementation such that the presence of the organization in each country makes it possible to have a truly strategic interaction and a more effective action adapted to local realities. Of 27 offices, only 14 have a permanent representative, which is the only one who has authority to activate and lead a high-level dialogue. And so we have a notable debt. The Museum of the Americas, which has its roots in the former visual arts unit of the Pan American Union and the Columbus Library, established in 1890 during the first International Conference of the American States, will be under the office of the Assistant Secretary General. And regarding the Museum of the Americas and the Columbus Library, the OAS has shown throughout its history that preservation of our common cultural heritage strengthens inter-American relations. Since 1917, the organization has used visual arts as a tool of cultural diplomacy to facilitate a greater understanding of our differences. The building of the Museum of the Americas has been designated a National Historic Monument of the United States. The collection has more than 2,500 pieces of art, works of art, and its extensive archives complement its artistic collection and constitute a valuable resource for research and documentation. In this context, I am pleased to present its exhibit, Reclaiming the Power of Women's Creativity, in the collection of the Museum of Art of the Americas, and you can visit that in the Marcus Garvey Gallery. The exhibition presents a selection of works that challenge traditional expectations regarding the role of women artists in the Americas. Our library, which has more than 500,000 volumes, answers more than 1,000 requests for information each year and receives in its reading room dozens of outside researchers. And besides its role as a reference, it actively promotes the history and culture of the Americas through exhibitions and public events. One example is the exhibition affirming the power of women to bring about change in the Americas, which we can see right outside this hall. And it's an exhibition that tells the history of women in the Americas who led the struggle for equal rights and the role that the organization played in that battle. There, one notes the work of the Inter-American Commission of Women, which was established in 1928 as the first intergovernmental organization that was established to advocate for women's rights. Both the viability of the library and the operation of the museum are increasingly threatened by limited resources. I'd like to share a dream with you. I wish to convert both of these cultural spaces so that they can be self-sustaining. I want them to be self-sustaining with research projects and exhibitions that are much more in line with the political mandates in the area of culture that emanate from the organs of this organization. I will seek new partnerships in the private and public sectors to attract external financing, to reach a broader public, and to solidify relationships with universities and museums across the Americas.
Another dream, a dream of Haiti. Esta es una realidad.
This is a reality that shouts out for our solidarity, that urgently requires novel actions from the Americas so as to finally take on the reality of insecurity, chaos, and misery. Despite all that has been done in the past, Haiti is not able to overcome the crisis. More of the same will not produce better outcomes. From the distance of my office, in the framework of respect for its autonomy, I will support the Inter-American human rights system. We want it to be even more active, stronger, dedicated to seeking solutions to overcome situations that endanger the integrity of human rights. The Inter-American human rights system is a jewel of this organization. We must preserve and strengthen it. I congratulate the commissioners who were newly elected, Rosa Maria Paya, Marian Bethel, and Jose Luis Caballero, and I wish them success. As you'll see, I'm arriving in Washington full of enthusiasm. I am governed by a single maxim. There is no worse task than the one that is not done, because failure is only assured if one makes no effort. And I will spare no energy when it comes to making efforts. But I am not naive either. The OAS, essential as it is for the region, today is called upon to present arguments about the benefits of its work. It is the responsibility of Secretary General Ramdin and my own to make it visible not only that the OAS matters, but that the region cannot think about itself without the OAS. We both have plenty of energy, commitment, and vision to do so. Let us help one another. Let us make sure we are moving in the same direction. Let us build together. And I tell my team, let's get down to work. There is a Secretary General who is expecting support, some member states that demand results, citizenries with expectations, and an attentive civil society. I will have for you, my dear colleagues, an open-door office with plenty of coffee.
Thank you for the opportunity to serve. I look forward to building this path with all of you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Madame.
Thank you very much, Assistant Secretary General, for your light and for having shared with us guiding principles and the priorities that will guide your mandate.
Convinced that with your leadership and that of the Secretary General, our organization is on the path to make great progress towards our objectives, and we are pleased to offer our support in achieving those. I see that some member states have asked for the floor, and it is my honor to begin with the Dean of the Permanent Council, the representative of Antigua and Barbuda. Over to you. Before you begin, though, I would just like to reiterate we have a 5-minute speaking limit for interventions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, may I begin first of all by saying how pleased I am to see Canada and you, Ambassador Savage, in the chair of the Permanent Council, not only at this historic meeting, but also for the next few months of your tenure. And I want to assure you of the support of Antigua and Barbuda during that period. Now, sir, to the business of today. Antigua and Barbuda is especially proud to welcome Ambassador Laura Gil, the first woman elected as Assistant Secretary General of this organization. If this ceremony were taking place in Antigua and Barbuda, it would not be in the least bit remarkable. For women in Antigua and Barbuda have long occupied its highest offices: Governor General, Ministers of Government, President of the Senate, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Chief Justice, President of the Bar Association, Financial Secretary, Accountant General, Commissioner of Police, Ombudsperson, Head of the Civil Service, Labor Commissioner, and ambassadors to major capitals and institutions. In our boardrooms in the private sector, women have captained entire industries. Today, 3 of our largest banks are headed by women. Yet this organization has not yet fully embraced gender parity nor the equitable role that women bring to the positions long dominated by men. Therefore, Ambassador Gill's election is a landmark event in our organization's history. It is evidence, at last, of our collective maturity and progress, and rightly deserves the highest recognition and acclaim. Ambassador Gill's occupation of the seat of Assistant Secretary General shatters a glass ceiling that has persisted in this organization for far too long. However, now across our hemisphere, women and girls now see embodied in her a living testament to what can be achieved when talent, dedication, and opportunity converge. There is no question that Ambassador Gill possesses the competence this office demands, as demonstrated by the impressive presentation she made to us this morning about what she would like to see the organization do. Her career is defined by unwavering devotion to democratic values, by visionary leadership in regional cooperation, and by boundless commitment to service. The General Assembly and this Council have entrusted the Secretary General and the Assistant Secretary General with mandates that span our shared priorities, from fortifying democratic institutions to advancing sustainable development. Those elected to these posts bear a solemn duty to work in harmonious partnership, to administer the General Secretariat with impartiality, and to bring forward constructive ideas for the consideration of member states, guided by the consensus that unites us all. As we celebrate this milestone in gender balance at the very top of our Secretariat, let us also embrace its broader promise, a future in which diverse backgrounds and perspectives enrich our deliberations, where fresh challenges spark inventive solutions, and where every citizen of the Americas recognizes that this organization serves their interests. Ambassador Gill, on behalf of Antigua and Barbuda, I congratulate you on your historic election and wish you every success in your pioneering task. You can be assured of Antigua and Barbuda's support. May your tenure inspire generations of women and girls to come, and may your service fortify the bonds of democracy, solidarity, and mutual respect that are essential to the advancement and progress of our inter-American community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antigua and Barbuda. Bahamas, you have the floor.
Good morning, Chair, Secretary General, distinguished colleagues, Excellencies, and a warm welcome to the Hill family. On behalf of the government and people of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, it is my distinct honor to join in welcoming Ambassador Laura Hill as she formally assumes the office of the Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. Your historic watershed election as the first woman to hold this post to complete and complement the circles of power and shatter the glass ceiling, alongside a Secretary General hailing from within the Caribbean community, is more than symbolic. It is a tangible demonstration of this organization's commitment to progress, equity, and inclusion. It reflects a collective understanding that leadership should no longer be confined by outdated tropes or narrow assumptions, particularly regarding who should comprise this hemispheric body, but should draw upon the full diversity, capacity, and vision of the peoples of the Americas. Ambassador Hill, as you begin your tenure, expectations are high because the stakes are high. The OAS and multilateralism stand at a critical inflection point, facing a deficit of trust, a crisis of confidence, credibility, and relevance, even as our hemisphere confronts profound and interlinked challenges, including rising economic discontent and exclusion, transnational organized crime, the fragility of democratic institutions increasingly characterized by black backsliding and erosion of human rights norms, large-scale displacement and irregular migration, and the existential threat of climate change. These issues demand not only technical responses, but also moral clarity, institutional renewal, and bold innovation, mirroring the courage and aspirations of the citizens we serve. In this regard, the role of the Assistant Secretary General is indispensable. The ASG is not only the custodian of process and procedural equity, the ASG sustains the institutional heartbeat of this organization, supporting the General Assembly, the organs of consultation and the Permanent Council, and overseeing political machinery of the Secretariat, and serving as a vital anchor of continuity and coherence. Ambassador Hill, in the short time I've come to know you, I've been deeply impressed by your tenacity and by your professionalism, discretion, and resolve. You've brought to this role some clarity of thought and commitment to human dignity that have marked your diplomatic career. We are confident that the people of the Americas will benefit greatly from your stewardship. We also extend sincere appreciation to the people of Colombia for sharing your talents with the hemisphere at this pivotal moment. We are further encouraged that your partnership with Secretary General Albert Ramdin begins and brings together experience, integrity, and a shared results-based reformist spirit. The Bahamas is fully committed to working with both of you to ensure that the OAS not only survives, but it thrives as a platform for meaningful cooperation and principled action. Please allow me to adopt the words of Colombian poet Piedad Bonet, who once wrote, "There are days when life pauses and becomes a question. Today, as we pause to mark this new beginning, we are reminded that leadership in this moment is not just about having answers. It is also about asking the right questions and having the courage to confront them assiduously and together." Ambassador Hill, you will find in the Bahamas a committed and reliable partner as we work collectively and with urgency to build a more relevant, responsive, and resilient organization of American states. With the formalities now concluding today and the mantle of leadership duly confirmed, the time for ceremony is over. Let us now turn resolutely to the task ahead, putting our collective hands to the wheel and our minds in gear with urgency and unity and unwavering commitment to the work that lies before us. The moment calls for real and tangible action. It's time to get to work. I thank you, Chair, and this Council for its kind attention.
Thank you, Bahamas. Colombia, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, representatives, permanent, alternate representatives, permanent observers. I would like to greet Ambassador Francia. This is a very special day for that nation. Alternate representatives, Ambassador of Colombia to the United States, former Ambassador of Colombia to the UK, Secretary General Albert Ramdin, Assistant Secretary General Laura Gil, and your distinguished family, ladies and gentlemen. My Colombian compatriots, first and foremost, I'd like to congratulate the Ambassador for taking on the chairmanship, Mr. Savage, and of course, you have the support always during your mandate for the next few months down the line. I'm honored to address all of you on this historic day, as the chair said, for the OAS and its member states, because for the very first time, a woman has taken on the post of Assistant Secretary General. And this is a place of deep pride for President Petro to have witnessed this important time and for the election from member states, given its solid and far-reaching experience, integrity, commitment, capacity for an open dialogue that we have heard time and time again today, as well as her firm determination to get results and solutions for complex problems. We firmly believe that Ambassador Hill's service to the OAS will be of sterling value at a time, as she said, at a crucial moment. We also trust that she will have a brilliant team alongside the Secretary General so that this organization is efficient and will have the necessary political support to confront the challenges of the region. We're very happy to see that various parts of the proposal that today the Assistant Secretary General presented to states in asking that she be elected. This is just part of the strategy for change and reform of the structure that the organization has had. And although there's still a lot of ground to cover, we're quite sure that we will continue to advance with the OAS that we need. Colombia, as a founding member of the OAS, has always been a firm defender of its pillars, the essential pillars. And today, in our commitment to gender equality and the participation of women in the Americas is shown with tangible facts, which brings us together in this council. Laura has been a victim of misogyny of somebody in the past. Multilateralism continues to be the best way to broach our challenges. And in the OAS, it is possible to strike solutions that we all agree to that touch our hemisphere and our nations all together. And this new phase of the organization offers us the possibility of to work together to have concrete progress made and those that are significant for the benefit of our peoples. And just to remind everybody, Colombia most recently had an historical moment of progress in its relationship with Chile through the Advisory Opinion 032 of 2025, which we hope you will help us develop, Secretary General and Assistant Secretary General. It's high time, as was recently said by President Petro, for an energetic revolution based on clean energy, which we hope will crystallize throughout our hemisphere, and also for the fight for peace that we so need in many regions in the world, and particularly in Colombia. Secretary General and Assistant Secretary General, we wish you the best results for this new cycle of the OAS. Count on Colombia to reach those heights, and my own personal support behind Laura Gil, because as I just said, she was a victim of misogyny of somebody, which unfortunately was a coup plotter. But it's really very important to have the people that you represent and provide them undeniable dignity for this very courageous, valiant post for all women in all positions. And you are the expression of this, and you have shown this over the course of all these years, as you have done today. So all the best of success for both of you, who are a wonderful, sterling team. Thank you very much.
Colombia, Costa Rica, you have the floor.
Chairman of the Permanent Council, Ambassador Savage, Secretary General Ramdin, Permanent Representatives, Assistant Secretary General Laura Gil, delegates, guests, and good morning to everybody. The permanent mission of Costa Rica to the OAS is honored to take the floor to express its most sincere congratulations to Mrs. Laura Gil Sabastano for taking up the position of Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. I would also like to greet Ambassador Savage, Permanent Representative of Canada to the OAS, for taking on the coordination of this Permanent Council meeting, and the same that he will do for the next few months down the line. Costa Rica welcomes the choice with deep satisfaction, Laura Gil's entry, which constitutes not only a well-deserved recognized moment of her outstanding professional career and commitment to the values of the inter-American system, but also is an historical milestone in terms of gender parity by becoming the first woman to assume this august responsibility. We are convinced that your leadership, strategic vision, and knowledge of multilateralism will contribute collectively to the collective efforts to strengthen the institutional capacity of the OAS, consolidate democratic principles in the region, promote human rights, and move towards a more resilient hemisphere. Costa Rica congratulates the arrival of Mrs. Laura Gil and the symbolism of her arrival at this position of Assistant Secretary General, because with her, as was said, she has broken the glass ceiling that for decades limited women's access to the two highest positions of hierarchy and decision-making in this organization. Today, with firm steps, a new stage in institutional history is also inaugurated, a fairer one, more representative one, and a more inclusive one. Assistant Secretary General, reiterate to you all the willingness of all of the officials that work at the permanent mission of Costa Rica to the OAS to work alongside you and support you constructively during the exercise of your very important functions, as has been expressed today when you addressed us. That the fragments of this ceiling broken on the 5th of May with your election be transformed into an inspiration so that more women in the Americas aspire to the highest spaces of leadership, with the certainty that with efforts, preparation, and commitment, any barrier can be overcome, including the most invisible ones. Thank you very much for breaking this glass ceiling.
The Dominican Republic, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman of the Permanent Council, Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, permanent representatives and alternates, permanent observers, officials of the General Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the delegation of the Dominican Republic and my own, I would like to take the floor to express how important this moment really is. Assuming the new Assistant Secretary General's position, Ambassador Laura Gil, marks not only the beginning of a new phase for the organization, but also an opportunity which is now renewed to strengthen the values that we all share and which identifies us as a region. We would like to avail ourselves of this moment to extend our sincerest congratulations to Ambassador Gil for her historic election. We believe that her leadership, commitment, and vision will substantially enrich the hemispheric work that we promote in this organization. Today, we are witness of this unprecedented moment, an act that has broken barriers, that has broken established profiles, and that will be a message for the entire region. Women's leadership is meritorious. It is done with capacity and conviction at the highest levels of the decision-making spheres in the inter-American system. The election of the new Assistant Secretary General not only represents a step forward for the OAS as a modern and inclusive institution, but also symbolizes the breaking of this glass ceiling, which for many years limited the full-fledged participation of women in the most strategic spaces of multilateral diplomacy. We would like to inaugurate and wish you, Assistant Secretary General, the best of success in your work. We know that your mandate will bring in dialogue, balance, and a renewed vision, and one that is transparent, to broach the growing and complex challenges that the OAS faces. We thank the intention of working alongside our authorities as we prepare for the next Summit of the America, the 10th one, which will take place in Punta Cana in December this year. Assistant Secretary General, you can count with the full-fledged willingness of the Dominican government to work cooperatively with a constructive spirit in mind and an open dialogue, upholding the priorities of mutual respect and solidarity that defined this hemispheric community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dominican Republic. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Chair of the Permanent Council, colleague excellencies, alternate representatives, staff of the Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, Assistant Secretary General. Chair, I wish to congratulate you on assuming the chairmanship of the Permanent Council and for having the distinct and singular honor of installing our newly minted Assistant Secretary General. On behalf of the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I congratulate Laura Hill on assuming the role of Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. Extend a warm welcome to her and convey sincere good wishes to her during her first tenure, while pledging the support of our mission in working alongside her to build a more inclusive, resilient, and responsive organization. ASG, your historic election is a beacon of hope to all women in this hemisphere, attesting that they can not merely aspire to positions of leadership in the multilateral domain, but also see that aspiration fulfilled. It has taken 77 years to shatter the proverbial glass ceiling. Y ahora exclamamos, nada nos detiene. The OAS has finally become more representative and inclusive. ASG, you have clearly outlined your mission and your engagement with the OAS, with the member states, in furthering the priorities of the organization for the advancement of the people of the Americas in an equitable and inclusive manner. May your tenure be marked by success, a success measured by the fulfillment of the various goals and objectives which you have set yourself and your office for advancing the ideals of the OAS, in tandem, of course, with the Secretary General, His Excellency Albert Ramdin. Secretary General, we wish you great success in your tenure and pledge our support. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Ecuador, the floor is yours.
Dr. Laura Hill, we're quite sure that you will know how to build these meetings as we move along our path. Mr. Chairman, for you, greetings. Have a wonderful beginning, Dr. Savage. I would like to address you, Secretary General, and Assistant Secretary General, Mrs. Laura Hill, representatives of member states, and to Jose Manuel Sebastian and your guests, to all of those who are listening here today. Today, in the Americas, we're witnessing a scenario where there is the constant polarization of forces and where people insist on identifying benefits as we move for an international community with private property, and this would seem to be a symbol of a very special way of understanding the exercise of governance of states. Societies that want inclusion but are often excluded. The truth hides some aspects along the way, societies which are moving ahead, and that's why we're halfway there, as many of us recommend, and as we look at some of the indispensable work of women, which is imperative. It's indispensable. We agree with what the chair of the Permanent Council said today. There is a weakening of democratic norms, and that is why we congratulate his position, the Assistant Secretary General's and our Secretary General's vision, which all cross over in getting closer to citizens. And as a result of that, Laura Hill, given your capacity for innovation and your ability to react in favor of collective construction that moves toward unity, we would hope that you are the bridge for building friendship along the way in terms of what the OAS has been and in terms of what states can do in the Americas and the ways of understanding each other. We congratulate the decision to move closer to civil society as a main actor. Right now, this is particularly relevant for the Republic of Ecuador, that you are a woman. Precisely Laura Gil, a Latin American Uruguayan woman, a Latin American woman from Colombia, a Latin American woman from the Americas, who is today taking up the reins of the Assistant Secretary General's position. This is a woman who knows how to move far away from home and to represent her country, as she's done with Colombia, with presence and greatness. This is an inclusive woman, a woman who has deep studies with conviction and dignity, who knows what it is like to be from civil society working for a common good, and particularly for her and for everyone else. And at the end of the day, this seat is being occupied by a woman now, and particularly one that represents talent and migration. A very special, warm greeting to you. This is the very first time this position has been occupied by a woman, but the wood for construction was scaffolded by many other women who came before you, not in this post, but as representatives to the OAS, and specifically also in the Inter-American Commission on Women in the Organization of American States, who opened up the way. And why not? Why shouldn't we say it? That worked for many women and for equity. But we would be remiss if we didn't refer to the work of the Commission as Maria Curia de Aya, Maria Escobar, Anita Diaz, Maria Viega Tanque de Lopez, who was chair of the Commission from 1961 to 63, Gabriela Peray, Severre, Anarquista Cuadro, Algira de Bechinal, Josefina Mexica, and Almeida, Priscila Fernández de Pachine, Lema Pai de Calavera, Rosa Bernal, Colombian, and who opened up the historical ways. Precisely, this is relevant today to mention all of the work of an outstanding chair of the Commission, Uruguayan, Julieta Jardín Morales Matero, who was there from 1980 to 82. Who Mrs. Banco was there too, and the Ecuadorian Mrs. De Suro, who was president from 68 to 70. It wasn't easy, but they had to rise up to the occasion as the predecessors did. And there were other delegates as well who made us very proud, and whose nationality was a tribute to all of the Americas. And then for all of that, I would just like to say, as I wrap up, that we are here to do collective work. We're here with you. Today, we have taken on your words, and you have our commitment, and we congratulate your opening speech as you addressed Albert Ramdin, and count on Ecuador for everything that you aim to do.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Distinguished prominent representatives, alternates, permanent observers, distinguished colleagues. On behalf of the delegation of Jamaica, I'm honored to warmly welcome Her Excellency Ambassador Laura Gabriel Hill Savastano as the newly appointed Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. Ambassador Hill assumes this important role at a critical time in the life of our hemisphere, bringing with her not only a remarkable professional track record, but also the historic distinction of being the first woman to hold this esteemed post. Jamaica is especially pleased to see this significant step towards gender parity at the highest levels of leadership within the organization. Ambassador Hill is no stranger to the OAS. She has served as a professional electoral observer in over a dozen short and long-term OAS missions, demonstrating her commitment to democratic governance and institutional integrity across the region. Her deep familiarity with the workings of the organization is a tremendous asset that will undoubtedly serve her and the membership well. Her wealth of experience spans critical areas of governance and development, having served as advisor to Colombia's Ministry of the Interior, the National Planning Department, the Second Commission on International Relations of the Colombian Congress, and the Repatriation Unit for Conflict Victims. In addition to her work in the public sector, Ambassador Hill has made significant contributions as a professor of international relations, manager at a consulting firm, and political analyst across various media platforms. Academically, she is a trained political scientist and internationalist, a fellow of the National Endowment for Democracy, and an accomplished author of scholarly articles on international relations. Her breadth of knowledge and multidimensional perspective makes her exceptionally well suited for this role. Jamaica looks forward to working closely with you, Ambassador Hill, in advancing the work of the OAS, strengthening inter-American cooperation, and ensuring that the organization continues to deliver on its core pillars of democracy, human rights, security, and development. We extend to you our full support and best wishes for a successful and impactful tenure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jamaica. Uruguay, you have the floor.
Gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Secretary General, Uruguay would like to dearly, warmly welcome Ambassador Laura Gil, who today takes on the post of Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. It's an honor to greet you and commend you for this post, not only because of your sterling diplomatic career and your firm commitment to human rights, democracy, and development, but also because you were appointed, because this is an historic milestone. For the very first time around, in more than 60 years of the organization's existence, a woman is taking on this high leadership role. This fact represents significant progress towards a more representative OAS and one that is more consistent with the principles that we promote, one that is more inclusive. And it's also a message for the girls and women in the continent that see your election as a possibility and an impetus to continue to open roads and the pathway towards decision-making posts. Assistant Secretary General Laura Gil, you will have the full-fledged support of Uruguay, your second country, in this new phase. We're quite sure that your term will contribute to strengthening the inter-American system and will rise to the occasion with greater sensitivity for all of the challenges that we have to grapple with as a region. We wish you the best of success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Uruguay. Mexico, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you, Chair. The delegation of Mexico would like to congratulate you for assuming chairmanship of this permanent council, and we wish you the best of success. I would ask for support to run the following message from Ambassador Lucilena Baños, permanent representative of Mexico. No sound in the interpreting booth. So sorry.
Thank you, Mexico. Grenada, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We salute you, Ambassador Savage, on the assumption of the role as coordinator in this period of the Permanent Council's activities. Distinguished representatives, alternate representatives, observers, Secretary General Ramdeen, esteemed colleagues, Assistant Secretary General. It is with optimism and respect that my delegation warmly welcomes and congratulates you, Assistant Secretary General Laura Hill, on your assumption of office. Your assumption makes and marks a profound historical moment in over 75 years of this organization's existence across 12 Secretaries General and 9 Assistant Secretaries General. This is the first time a woman has taken the wheel of either position. That changes today, and we are proud witnesses of it. Ambassador Hill, you expressed a vision for a revitalized and modernized OAS, one where efficient resource management, strengthened coordination, and regional partnerships go hand in hand is welcome. You've underscored here in your inaugural presentation today the 2 vital dimensions of which we take note: effective multilateralism and the smart mobilization and deployment of resources. Grenada fully supports this integrated approach. We also recognize that you share the view that our hemisphere faces significant challenges, much of which you include in your priorities, from intensified climate disasters to growing migration pressures and threats to democratic institutions, as well as the need to bring resolution to the situation in our sister nation of Haiti. These demand bold thinking and adaptive solutions. Diversity and inclusion, as you embody, must be central to these solutions, bringing innovation and resilience. As you assume this high office, Ambassador Hill, Grenada reaffirms its full support and its undertaking to give that support, with the first female Assistant Secretary General and the first Secretary General from the CARICOM region. The moment signals a new era indeed, one defined by progress, inclusion, and unity of purpose. We look forward to working closely with you to advance the shared goals of peace, security, development, and prosperity for all peoples of the Americas. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Grenada. Barbados, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Secretary General Ramdeen, Assistant Secretary General Hill, permanent representatives, alternates, permanent observers, ladies and gentlemen. This morning, my delegation takes the floor on this historic and groundbreaking occasion, one which augurs well for our hemispheric community. We also take the opportunity to congratulate you, Mr. Chairman, on the assumption of coordinating the Permanent Council. Madam Assistant Secretary General, the proverbial glass ceiling that limited women's full participation in the decision-making of the OAS has been broken. We know that real and lasting change will be achieved when instances like this are no longer the exception. It is nevertheless a powerful emblem and a testament of progress, as well as a compelling affirmation that the hemisphere's premier political organization has embraced inclusive, transformative leadership, sending a resounding message of validation to girls and women across the Americas, where merit is recognized, barriers are broken, and diversity has a place at the table. With the organization at a critical juncture, Barbados looks forward to the promising partnership between you and our new Secretary General. We are a hemisphere defined by remarkable diversity in geography, language, culture, and history, and much more. This diversity coexists alongside a profound convergence of purpose and offers opportunities for progress. We are also a hemisphere which stands at a complex crossroads. Political, economic, security, and human rights, and climate-related challenges are interconnected, and these mutually reinforcing forces test the foundations of democratic governance and the strength of our institutions. We are confident that together you and Secretary General Ramdin will usher in a new era of strategic propulsion for the OAS, one that will restore and elevate its rightful place as a hemispheric and global leader in advancing the core pillars of the organization. My delegation stands ready to support and collaborate with you. We believe that with a sense of purpose, clarity of thought, conviction of mission, and strength of leadership, the OAS will rise to meet this moment. May you find inspiration in this historic mandate, and may it be marked by great achievements, strengthened alliances, and long-lasting progress for all throughout the hemisphere. Mr. Chairman, I thank you.
Thank you, Barbados. Guatemala, I invite you to take the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Chair. I extend greetings to Secretary General Albert Randim, Assistant Secretary General Laura Gil, distinguished permanent representatives and delegations. I take this opportunity to extend greetings to and to congratulate Ambassador Stuart Savage of the Mission of Canada to take on the chairmanship of the Permanent Council. I wish him the best of success and the most constructive time during this period for the delegation of Guatemala. It's an honor to participate in this special session of the Permanent Council, which marks a significant moment with the beginning of the mandate of Ambassador Laura Gabriela Gil Savastano as Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States for the 2025-2030 period. Her designation, in addition to being a historic landmark, as she's the first woman to occupy this lofty position, is a firm step towards greater gender equality in the inter-American sphere. At the same time, it is well-deserved recognition for the diplomatic women women diplomats of the hemisphere who, with professionalism and vision, have contributed decisively to strengthening the inter-American system. Your election sends a strong message on the importance of moving towards a more equitable representation in hemispheric leadership positions. From Guatemala, we trust that this designation will open the way for there to be more women assuming high-level positions in this organization and in multilateral fora going forward. This landmark also represents an important moment for consolidating the role of the Office of the Assistant Secretary General as a key space for coordination, dialogue, and hemispheric action. We especially value a strategic view that articulates institutional efficiency with an agenda focused on human dignity and fundamental rights, and that promotes the effective participation of historically excluded groups such as indigenous peoples and Afro-descendant persons in decision-making and spaces and in regional representative positions. Distinguished representatives, in the face of the challenges facing our hemisphere, some persistent, others emerging, the OAS should be emerged as a forum for political convergence, effective cooperation, and collective action. This requires unity, trust, political will, leadership, and a shared vision. In this spirit, we express our trust that the joint work of the Secretary General, Albert Ramdin, and the Assistant Secretary General, Laura Gil, will strengthen the relevance of this organization, aligning it even more so with the aspirations and needs of our peoples. Guatemala reaffirms its commitment to multilateralism and to the principles and pillars of the OAS, and with the mission of moving toward a more just, democratic, and inclusive hemisphere. In this framework, we reiterate to the Assistant Secretary General that you can count on Guatemala's support as a committed partner, ready and willing to contribute actively and constructively to the institutional strengthening of the OAS and to give impetus to the priorities we share as a region. Thank you very much.
St. Kitts and Nevis, the floor is yours.
Distinguished Chair, congratulations on your assumption of the presidency of this Council. Excellencies, delegations, Secretary General Ramdin, it is both a privilege and a distinct pleasure on behalf of the government and the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to reiterate congratulations and words of welcome to you, Ambassador Laura Gil, on your historic assumption of the role of Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States, the first female to shoulder this awesome responsibility. This milestone is not only a proud moment for the organization, but a powerful affirmation of the progress we continue to make in the areas of gender equity, leadership, and representation at the highest levels of hemispheric governance. Assistant Secretary General Hill, you assume your role at a time when the values of multilateralism, diplomacy, and principled leadership are more vital than ever. We are confident that your experience, vision, and stoic resolve will serve this institution and indeed all the peoples of the Americas with distinction and renewed purpose. St. Kitts and Nevis looks forward to working closely with you as you embark on this journey and throughout your tenure, in full partnership with the newly elected Secretary General, to advance the core values of the OAS while ensuring that no member, however small, is left behind. Madam Assistant Secretary General, you are assured of the full support of St. Kitts and Nevis as you chart this historic course. May your tenure be as impactful as it is inspirational. If I may be allowed a slightly light-hearted note, having served in the office of the Assistant Secretary General myself, I hope that you have perfected the fine art of juggling, since you will happily, I'm sure, be wielding oversight of the institutional vision for constant improvement and efficiency, employing the full range of your diplomatic skills to epitomize diplomacy in action, confronting cross-cutting global and hemispheric challenges, and fielding the occasional, unsolicited, but of course well-meaning advice from all of us. It comes with the territory. Congratulations once again, Madam Assistant Secretary General. St. Kitts and Nevis wishes you every success in your new role. Thank you.
Thank you, St. Kitts and Nevis. Peru, you have the floor.
Embajador Stuart Savage.
Ambassador Stuart Savage, as this is the first time we are taking the floor since you have assumed the chairmanship of the Permanent Council, I would like to congratulate you on the position and assure you that you can count on Peru's support for anything you deem necessary. Chairman, on behalf of the government and people of Peru, it's my honor to greet Laura Hill as she assumes her position as Assistant Secretary General of the OAS. The history of the OAS is intimately interconnected with that of Colombia. The OAS was born with the Charter of Bogotá in 1948, inspired by the thinking of, among others, the Colombian historian Germán Arciniegas, who defined America as the hemisphere of liberty. We take it for granted that you, Ambassador Hill, will honor this Colombian-inspired statement of liberty. And as you have said, you are committed to the institutional strengthening of the OAS, and because of that, you will develop your work sticking to the mandates that you get from your governing bodies. You can count on the support of Peru for the success of your term. We trust that she will contribute to giving impetus to an OAS geared to the security and development of our peoples, as well as the affirmation of democracy and respect for human rights in our hemisphere. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peru. Now I would like to invite my immediate predecessor as chair of this council, the representative of Brazil. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on assuming chairmanship of the Permanent Council, which represents great relief for this diplomatic representative. You can count on the delegation of Brazil to support your leadership of our work during this quarter. Brazil values this moment when, for the first time in the history of the OAS, a woman has taken on the position of Assistant Secretary General. The qualities and history of Ambassador Laura Hill are well known and have been highlighted by our delegation when she was elected. We know that we can count on a diplomat with experience, negotiating capacity, knowledge of the regional situation and the international situation. These qualities will be fundamental for her success, bringing solidarity and commitment to international law to contribute to the work of Albert Ramdin, Secretary General. Today, we can be hopeful in it going forward with gender equality, strengthening multilateralism and international law. We need the renewal that is expressed through women who come to occupy high-level positions in the organization, competent women, efficient managers, leaders capable of making a difference. Our experience is that we go forward more rapidly with gender equality when we give women equal opportunities in all their diversity, free from violence or discrimination. The current moment means we must redouble our efforts to strengthen multilateralism. Many say that power politics has taken away diplomacy, but we can recall what Mark Twain said about the accounts of his death, which he said were much exaggerated. Well, the same could be said about multilateralism and international law. We must have an order based that is rules-based so as to avoid chaos, disunity, fragmentation, and the unilateral imposition of wills inevitably causes tension, injustice, attacks on sovereignty, and on democracy. Our hope is that the organization will know how to confront the current moment, reaffirming the validity of international law and multilateral institutions when it comes to tackling common challenges, strictly abiding by the OAS Charter. This applies not only to the leadership of the OAS, but especially the member states. We need to react to the erosion of institutions and the tendency to make use of international organizations to pursue short-term interests. Brazil counts on the leadership of the OAS for consolidating a broad alliance that is plural, diverse, inclusive, in support of multilateralism, international law, and the sovereign equality of states. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brazil. And now I'd like to invite the current co-chair of the Permanent Council, who served very well in my absence the last 2 weeks, the permanent representative of Dominica. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations on the assumption of the chairmanship of the Council. Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, Permanent Representative, alternates, permanent observers, staff of the OAS, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. I take the floor on behalf of the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica and our OAS delegation to join member states in extending sincere congratulations to Assistant Secretary General, Her Excellency Laura Gill, on the assumption of office. Assistant Secretary General, we heard your statements in the pre-election period. We again heard your pronouncements and the vision upon your victory. Today, we have listened to your refined mission and vision as you assume office. We have seen and you have been consistent. We are filled with high expectations, however, that you, in collaboration with the Secretary General, will, for the coming months and years, consolidate forces to advance the work of the OAS in all areas of operations and in making the OAS even more relevant in charging a progressive course and holistic development path for the coming years for our hemisphere. This is a period of renewed hope. Ambassador Gill, Dominica assures you of our commitment to work with you and to provide our full support for successful tenure. We thank you, and we thank also your family for your decision and commitment to serve. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Dominica. Chile, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair. The delegation of Chile would also like to echo the words wishing you well as you go forward as chair of the Permanent Council. Many of the colleagues who have spoken of the Assistant Secretary General, Laura Gil, are well known and celebrated by all of the other delegations here today. In particular, regarding her impressive professional history as well as her political background and her work as a public servant and as a diplomat. Nonetheless, from Chile, we'd like to highlight the great advance in the political reality that represented by the very fact that you, Ambassador Laura Gil, are holding this position today. This is a historic event, which, as you mentioned in your inaugural speech, well, we hope that your presence goes beyond symbolism, seeking to bring about a cultural transformation in this organization, inspiring more women and girls to, and I quote, the words not be empty and that they can change realities. You can count on the support of Chile as you address the complex challenges facing the hemisphere. And once again, we wish you the best of success. Thank you, Chair.
Honduras, the floor is yours.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and my friend Stuart. Congratulations on assuming the chairmanship. I extend greetings to Secretary General Ramdin and my delegation, the delegation of Honduras, is very pleased to congratulate Ambassador Laura Gil for taking on the position of Assistant Secretary General. As my friend, Ambassador Luis Ernesto Vargas, said, she herself has been a victim of misogyny, which is not unusual. We have also experienced this in Honduras. That is the case of our president, Xiomara Castro, who has experienced misogyny and continues to do so, as well as our candidate, Rixi Moncada. This notwithstanding, Laura and the other two mentioned are not women who simply bow their heads. They stand up and wage the battle, and that is so important. For as Simone de Beauvoir said, you are not born a woman, you become a woman. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Bolivia, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the plurinational state of Bolivia, and particularly Ambassador Hector Arce, I wish to extend warm fraternal greetings, the warmest possible greetings to the Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Laura Gil. In addition to being from, you are from the sister Republic of Colombia, we celebrate your historic designation as the first woman to take on this lofty responsibility, convinced that your leadership will strengthen the principles of democracy, human rights, participation, inclusion, and development that we all share as a region. Chairman, this moment also represents the attainment of a long-standing desire of Bolivia, which is equal participation of women in the high-ranking positions in the organization. And so, seeing a woman head up this key office of our organization is an unprecedented historic event, together with the designation for the first time of a Secretary General from the Caribbean, as is the case of His Excellency Albert Ramdin. In that context, we wish to highlight and express gratitude for the institutional effort of all of those who participated in this crusade for equality, especially the organizations of women, and I'd also like to express gratitude for the Washington College of Law, American University, for its support. Its commitment was fundamental in this cause. Aware of your great capacity, we wish you the best of success in this new stage, and we reiterate the commitment of the plurinational state of Bolivia to work together in a coordinated and constructive manner for the benefit of our peoples. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bolivia. Argentina, the floor is yours.
Gracias, Presidente.
Thank you, Chair. Argentina also echoes the words of congratulations for your taking on the chairmanship of the Permanent Council, and we are fully available to the delegation of Canada in these 3 months ahead of us. We'd also like to extend greetings to and welcome or echo the warm welcome that everyone has already extended to the Assistant Secretary General. Argentina's position for the sake of seeking consensus and the priorities were all expressed by my permanent representative when you were elected, so I'm not going to repeat these. I would simply like to reiterate Argentina's willingness to work together with you and your whole team. Thank you, Chair.
Panama, the floor is yours.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Chair. This delegation takes the opportunity to congratulate you for taking on the chairmanship of the Permanent Council, and also like to express our willingness to support you in your chairmanship. I'm honored to speak on behalf of the national government and the people of the Republic of Panama to congratulate Ambassador Laura Gil on assuming the position of Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. Today, we have been witnesses of a historic moment for the organization. For the first time since it was established, a woman is holding the position of Assistant Secretary General. This milestone, which we celebrate proudly, is not only an individual achievement, but a collective victory for all women of the hemisphere. This step will open even more doors for those of us who are here today, for young women like myself, and especially for the new generations that are coming in our wake. I recall that gender equality and parity are not far-off aspirations, but rather commitments that should be materialized in specific, irreversible actions. From Panama, we are firmly committed to these principles, convinced that it is only through full inclusion that we'll be able to build more solid, representative, and just democracies. We echo your powerful words, Ambassador Gil. This is not just a protocolary act. This is an event that should translate into substantive changes that transform the reality of our region. We celebrate your ambitious vision, your clear purpose, and your valor on assuming this role with all of the challenges that it entails. And you can count on the backing of Panama to go forward in objectives that have set forth, which no doubt will contribute to the institutional strengthening of this organization. We have taken attentive note of your remarks, and we fully agree with the need or the urgency of renewing our practices, expanding spaces for effective participation, and underscore the key role that the OAS should play as a hemispheric forum. In terms of your mention of the organization of the 55th regular session of the General Assembly, or rather 56th in June of 2026, to be held in Panama City, we reiterate the government of Panama through our foreign ministry is prepared, enthusiastic, and committed to initiating from this moment the work of coordination. This assembly will be carried out in the context of marking the bicentennial of the Anti-Tyranny Conference of Panama of 1826, which was convened by the liberator, Simón Bolívar. This was a congress that laid the bases of multilateralism in our region, and the ideals of unity, solidarity, and dialogue continue to guide our efforts in this organization. As recently expressed by the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Panama, Carlos de Verman, this anniversary invites us to not only look to the past, but also to renew our commitment to an inter-American system that is more robust, inclusive, and people-focused. We want to conclude by noting our admiration for your personal history, Assistant Secretary General, and wish you the best of success. We fully trust in your capability, leadership, and determination to give impetus, together with the Secretary General, Albert Ramdin, to an OAS that is closer, more modern, and more effective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Panama. Haiti, vous avez la parole.
Haiti, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary General, Madam Assistant Secretary General, Mr. Chairman, I would like to congratulate you, Ambassador Savage, who is taking on the chairmanship of the Permanent Council right now. Madam Secretary General, I should say, once again, congratulations for your new functions. You know that for every great man, there's a woman behind that, and that goes for French as well. And I say that the future of our organization is also within gender equality and the framework of equalness. So, in point of fact, we appreciate equity and equality as values, and your historic moment in this organization is a turning point. It's a turning point in that we live by example right now, and that is why I would like to commend your presence. And I know that, given your experience and your competence, you are going to lead the organization alongside our Secretary General, Albert Ramdin, but you're going to lead our organization towards a more secure place in the profile that we have. Once again, congratulations, Madam Assistant Secretary General. please count on our cooperation, and you will have the cooperation and collaboration of the delegation of Haiti here at the OAS. And we wish you the best of success in your new endeavors. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Haiti.
Other member states wish to take the floor. It is my honor to invite our distinguished Secretary General, the excellent Mr. Albert Ramdin, to say a few words.
Good morning. Good morning, and thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First of all, congratulations on assumption of this duty. We look forward to working with you over the coming 3 months. Distinguished permanent representative, permanent observers, and other delegates, guests, family members, but also, of course, Assistant Secretary General Laura Gil. I did not want to add too much to what has been said already, just to say that it is for the first time in the Hall of the Americas that we speak about Madam Assistant Secretary General and Secretario General Adjunta. That's for the first time in 80-odd years in the organization. So that itself symbolizes the historic character of this special election which was held a couple of weeks ago. I just want to reaffirm to member states, but also to my dear colleague Laura, that there is a lot of work that has to be done to make this organization much more agile, responsive, high delivery, transparent, accountable. Those expectations are with the member states. I'm pleased that we will have now with us as a team working together as a tandem, Ambassador Laura Gil, to help us together to deliver on the expectations of member states and the inter-American system as a whole, especially the people of the Americas. Ambassador Gil comes with high qualities, with lots of experience, different leadership roles in diplomacy and international relations, has an opinion which we did not expect otherwise. We looking forward to working with the Assistant Secretary General to making sure that the organization is a well-oiled machinery, that in a couple of years we can speak about a success story of this new team working together collectively, united, as we expect all of us to do. So thank you very much. Laura, welcome to the team, and your own team as well. I can only assure you it will be a great experience. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we are about to conclude this special meeting of the Permanent Council. But before adjourning the meeting, I would kindly ask that you remain in your seats, as the new Assistant Secretary General would like to go around and personally say hello to you, one and all. And I'd also like to thank you very much for your active and engaged participation today. After you have a chance to say hello to our new Assistant Secretary General, we are cordially inviting you to proceed to the ground floor of this building, where a reception will be held in honor of Ambassador Laura Gil, our new Assistant Secretary General. With this special meeting of the Permanent Council is now adjourned.